All right, that's that's a wrap of the song. Good Sunday, everyone. Prophet Mustrak here. Am I Prophet Mustrak? Am I a prophet? Am I a god? Not a god, but God itself. We all are. It's just remembering it's harder. Now, may you have a blessed day, and may I have a blessed day as well. I was upon the church, the cathedral this morning, watching the day begin, and everyone began, of course. I can't show you proof because it's. You have to believe me, and those who know, they do believe me since they have been there with me, working on our path. But how are you doing? Are you ready to become a little god? Usually, you're not. The first step of understanding and following the God path is to drink water, hydrate yourself properly. What was that, Radu? Was it 1 liter per 25 kilograms of your body weight? That's the optimal level of water, apparently. So, for those who are interested in being completely hydrated to better function in this world, apparently that's the way. I still struggle with that. Because we were just talking 1 liter per 25 kilograms. And to put it in pounds, let's see, pounds to kilograms. Okay, 25 kilograms is 55 pounds. 1 liter per 55 pounds. Now, I don't know what you use other than liter, but what is gallon? I don't know that type of maths. How do you what is the change? Pounds to gallon. Come on. Anyway, my phone just dropped, so I'm just gonna drop it. You do the maths. Maybe after you drink some water you will learn to do better maths. But the point being, first step, be hydrated. Second step, eat meat. Now, again, that's circumstantial, because if you are a woman and you don't work, you're basically just sitting all day, you do not require that protein, and you're usually single and have cats, so you don't need to make babies further, so you can become vegan and drink drink a lot of pills, and you can become like Abel. You remember Abel from the Bible? Normally, do we have a picture of Abel? Cain and Abel? Let's go. Cain and Abel. Abel. I'm just downloading it now. I'm not preparing for this, and I know I should, and I know every day I say that I will. But people keep giving me more and more things to worry about, and we're gonna get on that as well, because worrying is as well not too good. Where are my desktop items? There they are. Okay. Abel he wasn't a vegan. Yes, he wasn't a vegan one. There we go, Cain and Abel. We have Cain over here. We know him. He's with the knife, not enjoying not enjoying properly the fact that eating meat is more on God's terms, and if you don't understand why did God like the meat more and the sacrifice of meat more than the sacrifice of poorly what is it, reason foods, is because the brain needs the protein of the meat, and if you have the protein of the meat, your brain increases, and as your brain increases, you are able to do more maths, and as you're able to do more maths, you can calculate how much water you should drink to be hydrated, from liters to pounds. Even no, that even the apple was something else, in my opinion. Even the apple was, but it isn't. Did they? The thing is, they ate other fruits before, but something was something was forbidden about that apple. One of my theories about this whole thing is that Eve actually did Adam and Eve. Let's call them both. Let's call them both into this thing, because even if Eve started this, Adam followed. Adam simp. Adam was our first simp. Adam was our first simp, because that's what happens when somebody tempts you into doing things without any reason, especially a woman, and that way Adam managed to simp. And if you think Adam was simp, because of course he was at the end of the line, since Lilith and Adam didn't go along. Lilith wanted one thing. Lilith wanted to be the man. Adam wanted to be the man as well. They couldn't negotiate, so they couldn't just change from now and then. No. And he also gave her a rib. He also gifted her a rib. He gave his own rib, but still they got into temptation by the apple, by the vegans. But my theory is that whatever civilization they were first time, they had like a tree. They had a tree that was there just for worshipping, alright? Just for worshipping, while eating and hunting and doing whatever they want. And of course, it was a normal life. But Eve wanted more. That's what do you call that? Hypergamy. That was the hypergamy thing. So wanted some excitement in her life. And due to that excitement, she took the apple and realized that it was a big mistake. It wasn't so good, and everybody is going to find out, since that tree was worshipped. Then if that tree was worshipped, everyone would know if an apple was missing. And there you go. iPhone. Eve wanted Apple when everybody knew how Android worked. So they were sent out from that, let's say, civilization, but they were still blessed. They were still blessed with making children. And I think I really, like, every time we imagine, people imagine Adam and Eve. Let's put Adam and Eve here. Adam and Eve. Let me just search for a picture. Adam and Eve. Oh, come on, something cooler. Like, every time it's imagine like they're old, but I think they were just teenagers. Oh, this is perfect. Let me just. Oh, this is it. Let me just save it. Quick screenshot. Oh, I'm loving this OBS. Oh, I'm loving this OBS. Come on. Adam and Eve. Now you can see the simping on his face as well. Like, hey, but you know, it was her that did this. And that's when God's way started decaying, because he didn't want to accept responsibility. He didn't want to accept and assume what he did. He hid the same way his son Cain hid, since after killing Abel, right? That's the same sin. Can we call it sin? That's the same sin. That's the same habit. That's the same habit, but it's not a habit, but weakness. The same weakness was passed down to Cain. Not accepting the fact that God doesn't like if you don't listen to him and do something opposite because other people are telling you. So, and are telling you what to do. They're making a schedule for you. They're creating in their imagination scenarios or worries for you to think about, while disturbing you from trying to be in communion with God and actually being a God yourself. The other thing to know is that you have to look at your parents and what those weaknesses were, and assume those weaknesses as they come. Just recognize their weakness. Like, how many times have you gone to work or in a certain place where you wouldn't accept the fact that you have a weakness, or there is a weakness, or you're not comfortable when you're not comfortable, right? You're not comfortable, so when you're not comfortable enough, that's what Eve done. Eve felt, I guess, she wasn't comfortable just being a normal life without any excitement, without any pepper in the life. She didn't felt comfortable, so she changed. She ate the apple. Everything started, and as everything started, she sent that comfort, that need of comfort, down to us, today's mortals. That discomfort of being comfortable, but not comfortable, discomfort of being normal, just doing stuff as God said, as God taught us to do. You get it? And when you need something and you're not comfortable because you need something but you don't actually need something, but you are willing to create chaos to get that thing that you don't need, then you'll see that the sin has been passed. And you will be at work and you'll have a weakness. You will probably need to work in a different kind of way, or you don't have the power or the speed or the knowledge or the money or the time invested in that skill, and you'll be lacking. And we all lack. I know I do lack a lot. I've had my fair share of discovering how many weaknesses I have, and of course assumed that I can't do everything the same way. I can improve, but I'm not what others expect to be. So when others expect other things, they and don't receive the thing they expected, because nobody actually receives what they expect, they create chaos, and they bring from another dimension, they bring chaos. Because you cannot just be when someone else just throws chaos in the world. Probably in your way, because usually it's the close one that are doing these things. And little by little you forget. You forget to what you need to do in life. It's not what you need to do, it's just the things that you do. Like keeping yourself hydrated, keeping yourself fed, keeping yourself busy, breathing, enjoying the sun, enjoying the day, enjoying your Sunday just to chill around, or probably go out with some friends, enjoying your time. You forget about that because you're not hydrated, of course, or you have eaten not all the protein that you need. Where is it? Let me just turn it down. All the protein that you need from the plants, and you have not eaten all the protein that you need from the plants, you might get a little angry. Angry, and of course feel insufficient. And if you feel insufficient, you overly inflate your ego because you're thinking about yourself too much. And as you're thinking yourself too much, you start to hate the other one that has the opposite of what you don't have, of what you lack. Something like that in that area of the thought. I don't know how to say it better, but you get angry, so you just pick a rock and do the deed. You try to hide it afterwards, because that's what Adam and Eve did. They hid themselves after they noticed they were naked. Cain was hiding his brother's body. He's trying to hide away from God's questions. And we are hiding when we don't feel enough. We don't feel like we have enough, and when we don't feel like we have enough, we do need more. And the more you need, the less you need. The more you need, the more you need. It will be a never-ending cycle. But I'm talking about this more because yesterday night I was in some places, but in the fast food area. Now, I'm not recommending fast food, but if you're gonna go out and it's late night, you haven't eaten in a long while, you are not hydrated because you drank alcohol and you got dehydrated, you need to at least eat something, get some food into your thing. So there's only fast food, so you pick only that. You don't see a drunk person in the morning like, yeah, give me just a salad, even though that would be awesome to do. However, there were some men that had so little that were seeing people that have little and wanted even from that little thing they have. And they wanted it so much that they felt like the other person does not do that, does not want to share with him the little that he has with, of course, we're gonna call him Joe Schmo. Joe Schmo saw that I have cigarettes, asked me if I have cigarettes as I was smoking, and I said I still have enough to get home. And he asked, and I was like, no. And he saw that I had two, and I told him it's enough for me to get home. And he was still trying. Now the moral is, did he need the cigarettes? Does a person die if they don't smoke until the next time they smoke? No, they don't. However, they are able to become aggressive when they know they're poor, and they don't know they're poor, but won't accept that they're poor. Like in the soul, because when you're poor in the soul, you'll need more. You will try to get more, as everyone does, especially from someone else, not for yourself. Because if you want something, you have to get it yourself. You have to create it yourself, or do something for it. Do a work. That's God's pact, right? Just do a work, and you get something. Not do overwork and get a little something, but just do the work that's enough for you to receive stuff, if you are in an exchange. And we arrive here at the point of game theory, which of course still applies. It's still we can call it a godly equation, in which, of course, we can, if you need something, you have to know that the other person needs something. Or if they don't need something, you can still find a thing that the other person needs that you can provide, so you can make an exchange and get at the center where the magic magic reward system enacts. Now, what is this magic reward system? It's the system where you get the best solution for the best reward that you can get, that you can both get without one going to the devil's side, going into sin, right? Because that's the way. If we learn to understand that we all have something, let's say something, let's call it something. We all have a God that, now I want to say a God, it doesn't mean that you have to have a God, it doesn't mean that you have to believe in him, though we call that thing that we exchange. I do. Now we don't, there are no we, it's just I call it, today I just came up with it. I call it the God thing, that where we can exchange, because we all exchange God. We're all God's children after all, right? Oh, where did it go? Anyway, we're going into some videos, right? Because we're talking about the vegan thing and how it makes you. Damn it, I'm still trying to find a video. Where is she? Vegan. Left arrow. Where is she though? There was a video so long ago about vegan, but I guess we can put there was this thing where she was threatening to kill everyone, or she deserves to die. Everyone deserves to die because they're not vegan. But you have to get that animal. At least for now. You have to get that protein into you. That animal protein. That animal construction. Because you can't really grow your brain enough to arrive where you are at this point without making the sacrifice and just hunting and getting mammoths, getting chicken. Always chicken. If you're going to the gym, we know we go to the gym, we know we love our gym here. We eat that chicken. We have to get that chicken because that chicken took millions of years to be a factory of protein, to be the best factory of protein, the best way to gain that protein enough so it will go into symbiosis with your body, so that your body would grow, so it will sustain the weight of the earth and the weight of our sins, right? You do need some strength to hold on to the weight of what do you call it? Of our, not just our sins, of our planet, of ourselves. And to do that and to understand it that way is not to think that you are sinning or you are killing this animal, as you're just getting into symbiosis with what seems to go, and what seems to go and help you grow, help your mind and brain be more and more active and more advanced enough for it to understand what we're doing here and understand that, of course, we are God. You will realize that it's mostly I want to say mechanical process. It's not a judgy thing. The thing is, when we're doing it to ourselves, because one reason or another, it is quite weird, because we're destroying two creations at the same time. At least two creations. When you destroy one, let's put Abel back here, Abel and Cain back here, because when you destroy one civilization, when you destroy one life, you destroy one entirety, one civilization entirely. Sorry about that. What I was doing, my English is alright, because that's alright, and each, let's call, person and or civilization has a mechanics by which it works, and each mechanic sometimes works great or sometimes works bad, but usually what works better is selected and evolves. We know that. It's the theory of evolution. Everyone, I know it's hard for you to believe that. I also understand how the theory of evolution works, since we're talking about God and gods and myths and succubus and demons, because let's not forget that there was another being before Eve that wanted something, and that being was, of course, Lucy, our little Satan here. Our little Satan. He didn't like the humans, right? Or at least he didn't like to be under them. And I understand sometimes nobody wants to be under, even though the underdog always seems to be liked. But they don't usually these creatures, not just people, but angels as well, spirits as well, are always the evil, at least the spirits that are deemed evil, always seem to not want to be under, and not accept that they're under, right? Or they have to watch some other creature thrive, which is pretty silly to not want the other person to thrive when you can learn for it and thrive more than you are thriving when you're living and feeling insufficient, like communism does, right? Communism as well is pretty, I want to say, devilish, since it's not like they're creating cohesion, they want cohesion, and they want only one leader. They want only one God, while saying that it's not a God, so each one can always feel like there will always be someone on top. And since they're all equal and he wants someone on top, hey, why not me, right? Why not me? Why shouldn't I be the president of this? Because we're all the same, but since I want all of them to be the same, I know how to make them all the same, so I'll make them equally poor. That's what the whole communism ideology is, at the end of the day. But since communism is of course another train of thought that wants, then it will always fall into sin. That's how you fall into sin. Wanting something that other has, wanting something that you think you can have, just using imagination without actually having it. Using imagination to create a reality, to bring something in reality that does not exist and you don't need. It's called the apple of discord. It is the apple of discord after all. A little. But at this point, I don't know if we can arrive at a point where we don't want things. Like, it's not that we don't want. The point is to arrive at the point where you are. Because demons want. God is. That's the whole shtick. Now, what do you believe about this theory? As I'm searching for the vegan. I hope the audio is off. Oh yeah, that was good. Actually, let's put the prayer on while No, I won't put the prayer on. I was angry. Woman. Angry, of course. It has to be a woman every time we're seeing a vegan. But no, vegan is okay. I don't want it. So I guess it's okay to be. But the thing is, vegans want other people to be... They do want them to be the way they are, but the way they are, because if everyone was vegan, then the vegan wasn't special after all, right? She wouldn't get to judge other people of how they are and scream at them and but there are some good vegan foods, but you can use them from now and then. You can be vegan for a couple of hours. That is alright. You don't have to be a constant vegan. You don't have to label yourself, because we talked about labeling things, and the more you try to fit in a box, the less you'll fit in that box. You're just using that to have a shtick, and that's not good. That's why I don't know what I am. Am I God? Am I a prophet? Am I the devil itself? Who knows? What I do know is that it's Sunday and I don't find that video that I'm searching for, so we're gonna get into other subjects, right? Like our good friend top G? Should we get a top G? No. We just need to learn about water, because water is important, and we have Bret Weinstein telling us why do we mass medicate with fluoride in our tap water. And from what I've heard, this is the point where I wanted to arrive with my friend, but of course I had to start the stream, and we didn't get into this conversation because I heard that I heard something, though it is good for your water to be clean, but of course not distilled water, just to have some minerals. It would be good if it doesn't have plastic, but it is worse if the water is red. Don't drink the red water. But here we go. And after this we're gonna say the prayer and see where we go from there, okay? Vegan is like a disease. Yeah, being totally vegan, if you do not biologically need it, not biologically need it, you are not impaired by some illness. It's just what do you call it? What do you call someone that bourgeois? It's just bourgeois thinking. You have nothing to do. You have nothing interesting about you other than trying to tell people what you eat. Because hey, everyone eats. Everyone needs, and as everyone needs, what are you special with if everyone eats, right? You're not special if everyone eats. You eat, they eat. How about you? Try to be more special. How about you? Just scream at people that they eat differently from you. Because after all, it's not them that are eating differently for you. It's you that are eating differently. Alright? But let's go on, see if I can make this faster. But I'll let this go on until the end. 10 minutes. Let's hear about fluoride, because many people are concerned, and there was a point in time where all these naturalistic groups are telling people that fluoride in the water is there to make you stupid, to keep you on. It was an old conspiracy theory, which might or might not be true. In some sense, like everything is true in a little sense, but it is better to drink tap water and be hydrated than not drink water at all, in which cases you might have some infections down there, which is not good. So keep it in mind while you're drinking your Coke. Let's go.
Next question. Why is fluoride the one supplement we mass medicate with, and what are the potential benefits and harms, especially for babies? So again, we could go forever. And in fact, I have done enough just literature review on this that this is now my, I don't know if you get these, but I get like weekly updates from the Princeton Library about new papers that I might be interested in. And like fully half of them are about the risks of fluoridation in water supplies and to salmon and to just everything. So,
Yes.
why, how, but the question at some level is, well, there's three different questions here, and this could fill many, many hours, but I don't actually know the history. Actually, my DO knows some of this history.
It's preposterous.
Of how it is that we came. Oh, wait, it's industrial waste or something, isn't it? Okay,
Yeah,
you tell the story.
Well, I don't know it well.
Yeah.
I should dig deeper, but
Yeah.
basically it's an industrial byproduct.
Yeah.
And
Not all fluoride. Like fluoride's an element.
Well-
Fluorine is an element.
yes, but Okay,
right?
so first of all, fluorine is
the element.
highly caustic element.
Yeah.
So we're talking about fluoride salts, but there's also an interesting nuance here where, if I recall correctly, the evidence, which is weaker than you would imagine, for fluoride's benefits is actually a different salt than fluoridation.
There it is.
Right.
Yeah. No, and it's actually like, so it seems pretty good that, so you end up with, there's the early work that caused the fluoridation to start happening in municipal water supplies actually I think seems pretty good, but the fact that it's a different form of fluoride than what is now being put into the water supplies is the big crazy part of the story that we're sort of not talking about now.
I wish we had the names of the two salts at our fingertips, but it's been too long. But in any case, it is insane to medicate this way, because there's no controlling for who drinks how much water. Right. So this would be an insane way to go about this process, even if this were justified. But as I recall, the evidence is far weaker than it should be. And there's evidence that conflicts with it, where you see the same increase in bone strength and teeth durability in populations that didn't fluoridate their water. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
what about fluoride toothpaste? I think the fluoride in toothpaste is the same stuff that's put in the municipal water supplies, right? It's also the wrong fluoride salt.
Yeah.
I think.
Again, I don't want to reverse the two salts. But in any case, this is not, however, the only case. And in fact, I believe the evidence in the other case where we do this is actually that it is positive and worthwhile.
What's that?
Iodine and salt. So iodine in salt.
It's interesting you say that, because I don't buy us iodized salt at this point.
And I don't complain about it, because we get enough of this stuff in interacting with the world. There's enough iodine. The basic point is you're trying to hedge out a deficiency.
Yeah.
And there's no value to it above that, as far as we know. But the deficiency is very serious.
But I mean, it's also possible to have too much, no?
Yes.
Short term.
Right.
I remember this.
One wants to find a happy medium. And my sense is we're getting enough iodine just by virtue of the fact that we, go out to eat occasionally, and, there's salt in everything. What?
Not anymore.
Well, that's true. And actually, maybe that should alter behavior. But my sense is that the iodizing of salt solved major issues where it was done.
I don't remember where iodine comes into the diet naturally. I feel like it might be one of these things that's in trace amounts in things like dark leafy greens and meat.
I believe that's right.
Yeah. Red meat.
But in any case, I think the fluoridation story and the iodine story go in opposite directions. Now, no doubt there is a less crude way, because the iodine issue has exactly the same problem as the fluoride issue, which is that depending upon how much salt you eat, this could have very different effects.
Yeah.
And so it's not a good way of medicating, because there's no way to titrate it.
Yeah. Incidentally, so Melinda here writes, I find it frustrating that opposing the mass fluoridation of water is considered so fringe. This is one of the places where, Portland, the populace of Portland, that, cannot figure out how to get our government to stop the assaults on businesses and such that are still happening, apparently still happened in the Pearl District last night. However, have kept fluoridation out of our water supply.
They did, and I don't know if you recall this, but actually...
This happened before we moved here, is why I refer to it as
long before.
Yeah.
Eons before.
Like it's sort of settled now, and it's always an attempt, I guess it will come back, but it's pretty established that, no, Portland is not going to fluoridate the water supply.
Portland will not fluoridate its water. Yeah. Like Olympia. Now, here's the
I didn't even know. We were on a well in Olympia, so I didn't pay attention.
Olympia didn't fluoridate either, and you know why? Because evergreen faculty got in the way of it. So this is actually a really interesting case where the thing that went crazy started out not so crazy, or at least is not crazy on different topics.
Many of the same people.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, I think, as is so often the case, there's a story to be told here about, where one sees. I mean, look, most of our faculty colleagues were crazy, but those were several generations down the road of faculty. They were only the tiniest number of
Talking
founders.
about Evergreen College,
still
by
at
the
the
way.
college when we got there, and
And none of the founders that we knew
Because
or
you
knew by
worked at
reputation
Evergreen
were crazy.
College.
No.
They were all terrific.
They were great. The
Yeah.
founders and the few people who were hired in the first few years of the college, not
And I
founders.
think Mike Bug, who's a chemist.
Yeah.
I at least never talked to him about fluoridation, but
Yeah.
I imagine that he was opposed to fluoridation,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
100%.
no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we knew some of these people. The handful of people from the very early years of the college were eccentric,
Yeah.
but not crazy. And the anyway, their early opposition was the reason that Olympia didn't fluoridate.
Someone asks, I have a well, so I don't have fluoride in my drinking water. What effect does not getting fluoride get? So, the only thing that fluoride is supposedly doing is
Strengthening bones and teeth.
yeah, and not in the form that it is in toothpaste and
water.
municipal water. Sorry,
Yep.
I'm stalled out. So yeah, how are we supposed to get it? Well, I don't know. I actually, with fluoride, I don't know. Like I'm
Well, I have very little doubt that the answer is if you eat a diet that is
I feel like this is it. Yeah. But so
natural.
we stopped using fluoridated toothpaste certainly for our kids, because kids are more likely to swallow the stuff. And for us years ago, and much to the chagrin of our dentists, when we tell them.
Yeah.
And-
So
yeah, cereal has everything added, right? It's like a multivitamin with some grains.
Claire Seguin, who I read as Carl Sagan, suggested
yeah.
seafood and seaweed has it. Now,
Totally.
here's the thing. We've stopped eating seafood out of the Pacific, which is a huge loss to us because of all of the radionuclides that were spilled into the Pacific after Fukushima, which have made their way into at least tuna and salmon at alarming levels, at least.
Yeah.
So these things are not, the data is not easily available now, but right after Fukushima happened, this stuff was measured and the levels were they weren't high in any fish,
Yeah.
but the frequency that they were found in tuna was 100%,
It was
I
widespread.
believe.
Yeah.
And it was very common in salmon. And so anyway, we, on the advice of Arnie Gunderson, stopped eating Pacific seafood, and without data, we haven't gone back to it. There's actually very little reason to think those levels will have dropped because the half-lives of the important radionuclides are very long, not super long, but 30 years. So anyway, yes, eating seafood would be a great way to deal with it, but we're now in a pickle, which is that all of our seafood comes out of the Pacific, and we don't consider that safe enough because of the strontium and cesium that was lost into the Pacific.
Yeah. Yes, an excess of fluoride turns your teeth brown. That is actually, if I remember correctly, how it was, how the original fluoridation was understood to be helping. That some town in Colorado, I think, happened to have a lot of fluoride in the drinking water from underground sources. I don't remember the specifics. And so some dentist was just seeing a lot of people with brown teeth, but also with fewer cavities. Sort of noticed that as an after effect and went like, maybe brownness and no cavities is correlated, and tracked it back to the fluoride. That salt of fluoride that was actually both protective against cavities and tended to de-whiten your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey guys.
All right. So that was Bret Weinstein and his wife. Okay, let's let them present themselves, of course, because we use their clip and their information. So I'll just let this move on.
That was a clip from our monthly private Q&A that you can get access to at my Heather Hying's Patreon.
Heather.
And you can also get access there to all of the past paid subscriber content. So please consider joining us there.
Did you mention that these private Q&As are the key to living a better life and living to tell the tale?
I forgot.
Anyway, that's a couple of information. If you're more interested, you can go on Bret Weinstein's channel. They talk about a lot of stuff. However, they do have a book. It's called The Hunters Gatherers. The Hunters Gatherers Guide to the 21st Century. They wrote a book on how evolution works. Well, not how evolution works, because we already know how evolution works, but how humans work and how they evolved and how little we have evolved since a long time ago, when we thought that we knew everything, to a time where we think we know everything. However, we understand there are still the same chemical reactions that are taking place. And of course, I just remembered one thing to tell you, that meat is also important to eat, even from when you're a child, because your mouth will become smaller due to food being softer and less processed, more and more processed. We chew less, so as we chew less, our mouths are getting smaller. And as our mouths are getting smaller, because I'm an experiment rat on this, as the mouths are getting smaller, the teeth are getting weaker, and you're not getting that fluoride from the water that supposedly is used for in most of the tap water, which will be a good questionnaire to do around your city, because each city has, or area has, its own tap water and tap water filtering systems. So if you're drinking tap water, you would know that you have some of this. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, because it's important to, once again, be hydrated with 1 liter per 25 kilograms per day for 25 kilograms of your weight. And after that, well, who knows where we get. But baby steps. But as your mouth goes smaller, of course, again, if you're a vegan, it might be possible that your mouth will get smaller if you don't chew a lot and you don't have a lot of chewy things. So your muscles as well will stretch your mouth enough for it to be healthy, as we're not eating seeds anymore as we used to. Then you will have a lot of problems in the future. You'll have to go to the dentist, and I think we can make dentists disappear if somehow the need for a lot of dentists is gonna disappear slowly but surely. Now, I don't want to get them out of a job, but they're expensive as... I don't know if you had any opportunity, let's call it an opportunity because it's an opportunity nowadays. In some cities, there are doctors that most of the dentists are full, so they don't really have time to take other persons in, and they're expensive, and at the same time your mouth hurts and you're taking bad decisions, probably forgetting to drink that water to become God. It's weird how just stupid things like this are not actually told how much it can influence just the fact that you are dehydrated, how much of a pain in the ass for the human race is, and how much war can it provoke, because there were in, I think, Africa, there were some countries that have created a project a long time ago to bring water into the areas that don't have water, and we know how the water there is, how much water there is, because they always show you those people that are starving or that are dying of thirst or that are thirsty always. That's because they're dehydrated and they can't think of way to doing it. And as they saw the opportunity of creating a bridge, they made a project, but war started before water came in, and as war started came before the water managed to hydrate everyone around, well, the project was dead. What was that called? Water Bridge Africa fail? I think it was like that. Water supply bridge, I think. He who controls the water in his body controls himself and the world. Supply Africa or desert. Because you will always see, I just searched water supply Africa, and then the first things you'll see around here is people in northern Ghana struggle to find water amid drought, meaning that we all know that you need water, right? You need water, and someone needs to drink that water because the ocean's level are rising, yo. So we need that water to drink it, and it would be better if we manage to also just evaporate some of it into the air. I guess this is just one of my theories, but if we manage to constantly just evaporate some of the ocean water, because there is the ocean water, into the air, it will produce more humidity, so it will produce more trees, and plants that will chill off the planet. Because the thing of fighting climate change is you won't ever stop climate change, because climate change is constant. And instead of fighting it, same as the war on drugs will always exist. It's just to learn how to live with it and adapt into it. But hey, it's better if you're Greta Thunberg and you're an activist, you're receiving money just for shouting instead of thinking of ways of doing that, then that's life. But let's read out here. Okay, so Radomara says that he heard something that is used for weight diet, that they tie your back teeth so you can't open your mouth, so you can't chew. What? And then you eat through a straw and you lose weight. It's a thing. Don't know how it's called. If you feel dehydrated, it's too late. You need a day at least to get hydrated again. Yeah, that's another point which I didn't know, but Radu Morarub, since his Jesus, in my opinion, and knows a lot of stuff about the body, since going to the gym requires knowing how the body works and what it needs for it to increase and get the shape that you need to make you the best version of yourself. Then I didn't know that if you drink water, that doesn't mean you're hydrated. If you don't feel thirst, it means you're hydrated. And that even if you start drinking water, it will take some days until your body is actually hydrated. And I have used hydrated a lot by this point that it just sounds weird. But let's pray. Let's pray, because we forgot to pray. We didn't forget to pray, but first I have to shield my way because I'm a whore. Okay, so people are not subscribing to me, and sometimes I understand why, but sometimes I don't understand why are you not subscribed to me, because I forgot to beg, right? And now I understand. I understand what I have to do is to present myself, which is Prophet Moonstruck, and asking for likes and subscribes, because I do like the algorithm and I do like to talk about stuff. And I do want to meet more information so we can propel it better. But as I say the prayer, I will give you a thing to think about, even if you're an introvert or an extrovert. I just want to give you this tip. If you have nothing to talk about, I guess it would be a good subject to evolve and talk with people that you don't know what to talk about, just to ask them, how's the water? Do you know how the water is? Maybe some of them know, some of them don't. But many are drinking tap water. Everyone drinks water. You can talk about water. It's alright. It's not a weird subject. So yeah, let's put the prayer on. Now that you have at least gotten a reason to talk to other humans about. Because we forget about a lot of things. That's the problem of the information overload that we're subjected to, that hinders us from being social again.
There is much to be skeptical of in this world, so it no longer surprises me to learn how many people don't really believe in anything. What's the point? For many of us, the road is a difficult one, but the path is always there for us to follow, no matter how many times we may fall. The good news is that we can help you find your way back. Naturally, some days are harder than others, but I must try. We all have doubts. The light of the mind alone cannot burn away all darkness. Think on it and look in your heart. It will be for the best. When the walls come tumbling down, when you lose everything you have, you always have family. The fire that had kept me alive was love. Their love. God's love. Right. You're not so certain. Fair enough. We all go through periods of darkness. Of course. In a world filled with misery and uncertainty, it is a great comfort to know that, in the end, there is light in the darkness. In such times we can turn to the Lord, but it's good to have friends. And the good Lord knows there's much to be done here. You're a good neighbor to us. Thank you. Until then, God be with you.
And with you, my friends, and with you. Now, I would have sing the song when the stream opened, but hey, I can't do that. I can't do that in a way. Here's the thing, one of the strings broke because I was too harsh on it. I'm more of a brute when it comes to things that don't work. Like, I'm doing it the Russian way. And another one broke. Okay, I'm gonna have to do it with 2 strings of the violin, but I'm gonna try it nonetheless, because it's been a part of a stream since I started streaming again. So let me try it. Let me try and see what we can get from these 2 last strings that are still standing on the violin. Oh my god. So it's twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Up until the sun, na, 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 na. Yeah, but I think we can do. Oh, it's 11 o'clock at night. Oh, sorry about that, neighbors. Now, as opposed to the man and the prayer, my neighbors are good neighbors to me, but I am not to them, since I'm subjecting them to the harsh reality of having a Romanian neighbor as a prophet. And of course, if you have a prophet as a neighbor, then bad stuff may come to light, since they're troublemakers after all. Everyone is a troublemaker, and yeah, we don't know how to not do it that way, but that's the way we are. But we learned that, and we will learn more. We will be able to remember more just by being hydrated, and that counts a lot on being yourself, on how to continue life, how to understand the connection between the gods and our history in a different fashion. Because I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying it does really have some points over there in that old Bible. And then I come here just showing you some. Now, this will also help you lose weight, which I know it's weird, but if you're overweight, just drinking water will keep the hunger away. Will keep the hunger away from you feeling it every 2 minutes and having to eat a lot to to make your fill. I don't think I said that, but it is. However, there was something in which you need to be hydrated, because there are some things over there, and why you do need meat. Because you're not the only animal out there that eats meat, by the way. Like in this case. And boom. What you gonna do? What you gonna do if you're a vegan? When a freaking lion just steals your wife. What then? Lioness. I think it's a lioness, right? Where was it? Oh, come on. Here it is. It's either a tiger or a lioness, but when an animal that eats animals is still around, then we still need to be around. Understand? So unless we remove all the predators, or we remain a predator. Because and by predator I don't mean going after kids. Don't. Why would you do that? Well, I have a theory about that as well, but I don't think I have enough time to get into that subject. Why many of those get in that way. Some of them are brain dead, and some of them might not be hydrated, or might not have received the memories and do not understand the sacrifice, the weight of the sacrifice of eating meat, because that's why God enjoyed. It's not that God was a person and he enjoyed. It was that the vegan saw that Abel was full of life. He was hunting. He was getting so much game. He was feeling so good. He was having problems understanding why does he get to feel so good when he toils and toils and toils and doesn't feel so good. Because after all, at the end of the day, the vegetables are just a side dish. You use your main dish with your side dish. It's like the sprinkle on top. You have to have a combination. You have to integrate the shadow. And the shadow is veganism, vegan food. Like that goes well with the steak. I ate something today, some kind of weird thing. It was just a vegan thing. Like how a thing that you spread on your bread, but since I was hungover, I felt like the only thing that jar of substance, I don't know what it was, some kind of pepper, that jar could only fill one person if it would be as a sauce or a side dish for the main plate, which should have meat. Because I started kneading, and as I started kneading, I went to the gym. And after gym, you don't need food, but you eat food because you're hungry and your body needs to regenerate faster. So you're using protein, so you can be able to not be scared in the front of your wife being taken away by a fucking tiger. Fucking tiger. You still need this. That's why we still need meat. And that's a way of understanding a little bit of life. We still have 20 minutes. 20 minutes we can discuss more on toxic
Freud was no
femininity,
dummy.
because why not? Let's talk a little bit about toxic femininity. Now, I said that we would talk about the thinking ape. I just remembered, but I went on a drip charade of this water. Because I know how important it is, and I try to just say it to a friend, but he didn't seem to understand. He seemed to think that just running was enough to make him get in shape, which might happen if you're doing it daily, so you can, exchange the nutrients that you receive and flush them out. But once a week running, not so much. However, I'm not judging him what he does as long as he does it. But yeah, I have a clip here of Jordan Peterson. I think it was from a podcast he did recently, and he speaks about the unspoken toxic femininity. Because I would have talked about that. We would talk about how he's wrong. Actually, we will talk when we talk next time. We would talk that how if he's right, he's wrong, and we're gonna deconstruct that, because he likes deconstructing things and using language to control the situation, which is a lesson, a very good lesson. But again, we'll get into this on Tuesday, because you would have to subscribe to get notified when I get live, and it will probably be Tuesday or Wednesday, because that's how it usually is. 2 streams per week. Time for shill. It's me shilling here. I even have a PayPal link in the description in case you find this, you get hydrated and realize, man, this man just has to have millions of dollars of the ideas he's spreading. He's so dumb. Anyway, let's listen to this, and then we'll see how much we can talk about.
Freud was no dummy when he pointed to the fact that the devouring mother was one of the major impediments to proper human development. He knew that, looking deep into the darkest families and seeing this proclivity of the overprotective mother to destroy the developing integrity of the child, to keep the child infantile, to cling to that relationship instead of developing a life for herself and letting the child go flourish. That's Hansel and Gretel, right? You're lost in the woods. Why? Well, your family's broken up. You have an evil stepmother, so now you're lost in the woods. What's your abuse rate if you have a step-parent? 100 times normal. So you're lost in the woods. Well, what happens? Well, you come across a gingerbread house. Well, that's pretty damn convenient. You need a house. It's more than you could even hope for. It's not just a house. It's a house made out of candy. Well, what's inside a house made out of candy?
Candy.
A witch who wants to fatten you up and eat you. And that's the devouring mother, and that's an old fairy tale. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and so, we could dwell on that for a minute too. One of the things we won't honestly discuss in our society, one of many, is the fundamental nature of female political psychopathology. And there's male political psychopathology, obviously. That's what the feminists complain about all the time when they talk about the oppressive patriarchy, toxic masculinity. There's no shortage of toxic masculinity. So is there any toxic femininity? Well, not if the feminine is just the, oppressed virgin goddess whose nature. But how about we don't live in that fantasy world? And we know, yeah, there's female political pathology. The tendency to infantilize everyone. And the tendency to assume that everyone who doesn't go along with the infantilization is properly characterized as a predator. And so, you wonder, why are the universities turning into extended daycares? Well, a lot of the reason for that is that women who don't have anything better to do are turning the university students into the infants they never had. So, yeah.
Jesus.
So, I don't know when we'll be able to be mature enough to have that conversation. 20 years from now.
What is a path to bring this back to some sort of rational, logical way of discussing these problems?
So I tweeted out, I don't know if you saw this, that I was going to make an announcement on your show today. And so I set up an international consortium based in London. I can't tell you all the details yet, but we're
some sort of...
Let's take a pause and talk about this point until now. Again, the mother, the evil mother, the one that was in the gingerbread house, or the one that wants to fatten you up. Again, we see it's the want. It wants something and it wants to devour you. And it wants to devour you because she's dehydrated, probably from all that sugar and not having enough meat in the system. Again, but the greatest way to bring it back to a step, as Joe Rogan asked. Let's see over here the question once again, because I forgot it totally, because I'm still having a few more demons that I need to
years from now
learn to control.
What is a path to bring this back to some sort of rational, logical way of discussing these problems?
Okay, the way to do it is to show, especially these feminists or these women, that they're acting like a bunch of brats or kids. And how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to work your ass off. Or if you're younger, you can just and live at a house. You can just create a house in the tree, or create something, a place, and say that no women are allowed. You will see soon enough that people will hate you because for some reason you are bad or something, but you can still have a place where no girls are allowed, and that's the whole objective of that place. And you can be their neighbor, but you are not allowed to come inside. And this is the whole crux of the problem, is that women are seeing these signs everywhere. It's created on its own. Nature created it on its own, that women are not it's not that they're not allowed, but they have no business of being there. And they're seeing it as more of a, oh, you want us to stay out? Oh, we want to get in. But just try it. If you live alone and there are people passing around and there are women, you just say no women allowed inside. And you're gonna see really quick that you're gonna start having troubles just by putting a sign on your door that it is not allowed. I don't know why, but they just want to be part of it, because they need to feel interesting, because they need to be everywhere, to grab everything, to devour everything. It's the need. It's not the woman. It's the need inside them that it's uncontrolled, because many times the diet is not good and you need more. And that creates, again, what's it called? The thing where women will always search for something better. You know, the apple in the tree, the holy apple, that you don't actually need, but you will need it after you realize that you needed it just so you can feel like shit, so you need more. That's the thing sometimes, because sometimes when you go into sin, I'm gonna quote that, put that in quotes, because sin is quite ambiguous, since we know labeling doesn't work, and labeling is just limiting yourself and putting things on yourself in the hopes of getting better when you're actually limiting yourself. And that's what people try to do when they're labeling you a certain way. They try to remove from your power, to remove your ability to do things, and trying to remove the things that you could think of to do, just slow them down, just the way, let's say, drugs do. Like, you feel a certain way, your brain reacts a certain way, but you are getting limited. You either cannot move, or you cannot think straight, or cannot understand what you're seeing, or feel like you're gonna die as your ayahuasca is getting out of your system, is flushing out of your system, and is flushing out everything, and you're feeling like you're getting dehydrated because you've been on the toilet for half an hour, or maybe more. Who knows how time works when you feel like dying, and you're making your last prayers of not doing the worst kind of way of dying, which is dying on the toilet, just pissing from your butt. But sometimes that happens. I don't recommend you do that without proper people. So yeah,
So
that's the way to do it. Just try to understand that you are dealing with some brats, and the only way to do that is to create things that are so simple and so complex at the same time that there won't even need to be a discussion, because they won't understand, and they won't even be required. The thing is to create spaces that are not seen for these people, but not even noticed by this kind of people that have a lot of want. And of course, in my case, the best scenario, since I'm starting to have a lot of problems and I'm becoming quite racist because of cigarettes, I figured out that the best way to be the most, let's say, the most racist kind of person, it would be for me to quit cigarettes. So I won't have cigarettes to give for people that don't need but need, because I have them. And yeah, little by little the system might produce more than it is needed, and when that happens with a lot of people, then we will get into actual, I want to say evolution, but it's not the word that I'm searching for, but we go into the evolution of human relationships. Bravo, we managed to combine the Bible and evolution at the same time, chemistry and life.
I tweeted out, I don't know if you saw this, that I was going to make an announcement on your show today.
Yeah,
and so
something.
all the details yet, but we're trying to put together something like an alternative vision of the future, say an alternative to that kind of apocalyptic narrative that's being put forward, at least implicitly, by organizations like the WEF, you know.
And I haven't been invited to that. Damn it. WEF, it's the World Economic Forum, the one that just wants to tell you what to do and where to live.
And that's
just watch my previous streams. if you are the type that just has nothing to do.
The virginal planet, rapacious tyrant, you know, all devouring consumer religion. And it's more like something like, well, we want to ask people 6 key questions. Okay, so how do we get energy and resources at the lowest possible cost as rapidly as possible to the largest number of people around the world?
Protein
That's
powder.
one question. And so there's a presumption in the question, and here's one of the presumptions. You don't get to save the planet by making energy prices so expensive that no one poor can afford them. That's off the table. So if you want to develop alternative energy sources, no problem. You know, because, hey, man, the more energy sources we have, the better. But you don't get to impose your utopian vision in the service of your narcissism on the poor. We're going to try to make the poor rich, going to try to alleviate absolute poverty. Pro-human view on environmental stewardship front. That's the next question. What are the major problems that are confronting us? How do we take a sophisticated multidimensional view of that? How do we prioritize our attempts to establish our states and our international relationships properly so that we prioritize human well-being, you know, in harmony with nature to the degree that's possible, but human-focused and not predicated on the idea that there are too many goddamn mouths on the planet to feed and that you're evil if you just think about having children. So then on the governance front, this is where it gets kind of more left-wing, I would say, is none of the people involved in this consortium so far are very thrilled with global corporate fascist government media and corporation collusion. You know, and we're seeing this at the high end. It's like a Tower of Babel, is that the powerful players in the world are increasingly collaborating to impose a top-down vision of the future on everyone. And that's a future that's...
Again, you remember from the old streams that top-down is not as good as bottom-up. And check them out. And yeah, that will help. Again, we're connecting here some information that there's been a long time coming. Prophetized, one might say. Prophesized.
It's predicated on a zero growth model and the idea that, well, we'd need 5 planets really to support everyone at the current standard of living that obtains in the West. So the best pathway forward is to deny loans by the World Bank to developing countries so they can't develop, you know, energy sources, which all that'll mean is they're going to burn wood and coal, obviously. So that's the third question is, you know, how do we arrange systems of governance to stop the march of something like pathological gigantism? This is why I like people like Russell Brand and also you to some degree politically, you know, because you guys are very, what would you say, sensitive to the danger of that kind of corrupt collusion, that regulatory capture that occurs when corporate entities and media entities and governmental entities are all in bed together, like the FDA and the CDC and so forth and so on without end. So that's the third question. The fourth question is, what do we put forward as a vision on the family policy front to facilitate the, what would you call it, the encouragement and the maintenance of long-term monogamous couples who are child-centered, and to make increasing the birth rate part of that policy, to put policies in place that would support long-term stable monogamous families, 2-parent families, and child-centered. You know, because in the West, because we're very immature, we think that the purpose of a marriage is the happiness of the people who are involved in the marriage, the husband and the wife. And that's just not the purpose of marriage at all. The purpose is long-term facilitation of their psychological and spiritual development and the establishment of an environment that's beneficial to children. That's a responsible way of thinking about it. And so we need to have a serious conversation about what that means. And, you know, it's tricky because, like, I think the ideal has to be long-term committed monogamous heterosexual relationships. And I had a big conversation about this with Dave Rubin. You know, Rubin's gay and he's married, and him and his partner now have 2 infants, and we talked through how that was. It was a very hard thing for them to arrange, obviously. Why? Well, they're both male. So that poses a severe problem on the reproductive front, right? And so they managed that. They have 2 infants, but it's very complex, and it's obviously not a solution to the problem of relationship and reproduction that's duplicatable across large numbers of people. It just takes too many resources. Now, I do think we have to have an ideal at the center of every concept.
The leveler. The ideal is the leveler. We can start bottom up, right? You start bottom up. We talked about the leveler before. It's the idea that once a couple, let's call it, gets pregnant and the man or the woman, the dad or the mom will have to do, of course, first is the pill. If they're not protecting themselves, then they didn't protect themselves. But then there's the morning after pill, or the worst case scenario, you take the meds, which I won't recommend because it really imbalances your body. But if the persons are still not willing to do those things and they get pregnant, well, they have, in my opinion, it should be taken until the end. The child should be delivered if, of course, it doesn't endanger the mother's life. Should be delivered, but after that, after it has been delivered, there is a 1 week right to it. There isn't yet, don't believe me, but if there will be, and it will be soon, at the point at which the human interactions are degrading, but there should and there will be a 1 week period in which you decide if you are going to take care of the child or do not want to take care of the child, in which case you take the child to the woods and leave the gods to decide his fate. That's all. That's the best way, because if you think about this idea long enough, you will want to see. Joe Rogan, Andrew Tate, and Jordan Peterson in a show. It's pretty weird because here's the thing. Andrew Tate is quite just saying things to get attention, to get a rise out of the dopamine centers, I guess. And I think he could get in a conversation maybe with this one, but I don't know if Joe Rogan will enjoy it. Although they might talk about kickboxing, in which case he might agree. They are like role models for today's generation. Here's the thing, is this the best we got? Now, this person Jordan Peterson has done some excellent work. He has still some great ideas, but I feel like he is overcomplicating simple things as I overcomplicate simple words because I can't think about some concepts. Yeah, this is the best we got on TV right now.
But the ideal can't be too rigid, you know.
But in my opinion, I think we could have more. There's me, of course, there's the prophet. Though I do need the ability to communicate properly, and that would mean, learning a language, learning so many concepts, learning better this language and so many concepts. And that would mean that I would need stuff instead of being. I would need stuff, and I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I will totally become the Antichrist if I'm trying to become. So I just want to be. Because, that's why the song is called Become God, by the way. You are either God, or you say yourself that you want to become, in which case you become the devil, and you will have your fall. But maybe you shall rise again. God shall forgive you one day. Or at least should support you, should accept you. Not love you, but accept you.
Because people aren't perfect. In my own family, there's lots of people who are divorced. In lots of people's families, there are people who are gay. There are lots of people in unhappy marriages. Nobody attains the ideal. So the ideal has to be surrounded by a fringe of tolerance, but that doesn't mean you sacrifice the ideal. And the ideal has to be, well, we know there's a literature on fatherlessness. It's a bloody catastrophe.
It's a bloody catastrophe. Now, the thing is...
Bloody catastrophe.
He couldn't...
there's a literature on...
Jordan Peterson is not in the position of talking about women and dating nowadays, since he's quite old school. He met his wife when he met his wife since forever, like they were neighbors since they were kids, and they just got married. And he has, again, some ideas that are old school, and he doesn't seem to understand, or we don't seem to understand what he wants to say. But sometimes the gravity of his words, and I said he is right, but if he's not right, he's still right in a thing that we're gonna discuss. And if we manage to accept that, then he will have to accept it as well. But that will be for another time, because it's 1 hour and 50 past, and again we try to make this last just until 1:45, 1 hour and 45. Well, sometimes with a margin of error, but we're trying to keep it under 2 hours, so you can have time to prepare for tomorrow, because tomorrow is Monday. It's gonna start a new way, as you will be more hydrated now. You're gonna eat better, or not, because who am I to tell you what you're gonna do? But I'm here to present some things that are trivial, but nobody talks about them. And since they are so trivial and nobody talks about them, nobody knows it for some reason. That the first and most important thing is to have water, and maybe one will have water, other people will have water, so they won't need water. So they won't need water to get. And afterward, just baby steps to a better world. Now I have no song in mind for this, and I'm going to search one song, and I feel no song. DJ Catch, Ends Up. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this stream, please give it a like. it does provide me with emotions which are positive, and hey, positive is better than being negative, because damn it, we need some positivity. Even though I know my voice is not so excited and so full of hope, because it is not. But maybe we'll get faster and faster. Maybe we'll get better, faster, better, harder, stronger. But we're gonna end this stream with DJ Catch. Ends up. Thank you, Radu, once again. My best friend forever. Good job tomorrow. Go to work. Go to sleep. And exactly. Faster, stronger, better. Even though you're far away, it's like we're here. Let's end this party, because it's Sunday and people have to go home. Don't forget to not overstay your welcome. So have a great night, everyone. And Radu, rest tight, everyone.
Everybody put your hands up. Everybody put your hands up. Everybody put your hands up. Everybody put your hands up.